Hello and welcome to another video on pre-calculus things in the world of trigonometry. Let's take a look at the last assignment for this week. There was an introduction for the last video, so check that out if you haven't. So let's look at miscellaneous trigonometry while we can. Evaluating trig functions with a calculator. So we want the value of secant negative 231 to the nearest hundredth. So you know how we're going to do that? We're going to type secant of negative 231. Before we plug that in, let's check if our calculator is in. It's in radian mode. Set it to degree. Our answer changes. This is saying whether or not the calculator will interpret your angles as degrees or radians. Now, when I put it in radians, it thinks we're just wrapping around the circle like 40 times. But in degrees, we actually have what we need. So that means we're going to do negative 1.589 rounds to 9. That's it. You literally just plug it into a calculator, y'all. Now, here, it's actually asking you for something that you haven't seen before, at least not in this class. So I'm actually surprised that they give this particular problem in this set, but it's not that bad once you understand the notation. This apostrophe here after the degree symbol represents minutes. And brief history lesson, if I'm remembering my history right, is that the circle dividing into 360 degrees is actually a Babylonian thing from thousands of years ago. And whenever they divide it again with this little apostrophe symbol, I don't know if they use the exact notation, but this is called minutes. They divide by 60 another time, and that is how they represent that. So this is also used in longitude and latitude. So what you need to do is take 66 as our degrees and 16 minutes. You're going to divide 16 by 60. It's just another number system. So we have 0.26 whatever. Our angle is going to be 66 plus that in degrees. So we're just going to go ahead and throw that mess into the calculator and say cosine of it, and it's 0.40248. And 10,000th place would be 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000. It's going to be the second 4, which is going to round to a 5. So you convert the minutes to degrees by dividing by 60, add them to your 66, throw them in a calculator, and you're done. Last bit, we're just going to do secant of negative 288. Done. Nearest 10,000th, 3.2361. All you had to do. Let's check the next problem in the assignment. Relationships of trig functions. The reciprocal of sine, which is 1 over sine, well, I already taught you that is cosecant. This one, it might be helpful to have a reference sheet, whether it's self-created or from the Google Classroom or some other online resource. But this just has you understand the relationships here. Now, an important thing is that when you see a 90 minus theta or 90 minus x inside the argument for a trig function, what you're doing is calling the cofunction, meaning it's going to be that trig function, but on the other angle in your triangle. So like if you make a 30, 60, 90 triangle, sine of 30 is going to be your lower leg divided by hypotenuse. But cosine of 60, since it's adjacent to cosine, to the 60-degree angle, it's still going to be lower leg over hypotenuse. So that's kind of a pitiful visual aid, but the point stands that when you do the cofunction of a trig function in a triangle, you're really just doing the other trig function of the opposite angle. Assuming you're in a right triangle, that is. So sine of 21 is going to be cosine of 90 minus 21. Secant of theta is going to be cosecant of 90 minus theta. So we're going to pick secant for our answer. So that is the definition of cofunction. Cosecant becomes a secant. Opposite over adjacent, SOHCAHTOA. And then really you're just going to be following these patterns. 1 over cotangent is tangent. Yada yada. Let's head into cofunction equations. If angles are represented in degrees, find both of them. So this is the cofunction thing put into practice. We know that the sum of two angles that are equivalent up to the cofunctionness, you know what I'm trying to say, add up to 90. So cosine of theta is going to be sine of 90 minus theta, whatever that theta is, even if it's represented as an equation involving the letter x. So right here we know that, let's get rid of this, 7x plus 8 equals 90 minus 14x minus 2. Another way to rearrange that is 7x plus 8 plus 14x minus 2 equals 90. And once we move around the constants to combine to 92, subtract 8 from that, you get 84. We can simply combine like terms to get 21x is 84. Divide by the coefficient, get x is 21. We're going to plug that in. However, let's go ahead and see. Actually, I made a very silly mistake. 21x equals 84. X is 4. I just misspoke. So yeah, divide 84 by 21. You get 4. So 7 times 4 plus 8 gives you 36. 14 times 4 minus 2 gives you 54. And you can check your work because those two things add up to 90 in the end. You're going to have the same problem just with different numbers a bunch of times. So x plus 52 plus 3x minus 6 is 4x plus 46 is 90. Subtract the 46, 4x is 44. Divide it out, x is 11. So 63 is the first angle. 27 is the second angle. And that's all we had to do for this problem. Finally, we're going to do cofunctions of acute angles. This will be the last thing I have you do this week, and we will see how it goes. So we want to express it as a function of an acute angle less than 45. We're going to need to do some cofunction stuff to get there, hence the assignment name. So what we need to do is first find out what this would represent in quadrant 1. Reference angle in fourth quadrant is 360 minus 332. That's 28. So sine of 28, is it going to be positive or negative? Since it came from a place where sine is negative, we're going to just go ahead and say negative sine of 28 is going to give us the same answer because let's just throw it into a calculator. Sine of 28 is this. Negative sine of 28 is that. Positive sine of 332 is the same thing that we're looking for. We nailed it. Now we find the reference angle, find the quadrant, determine if it's positive or negative, and then we throw it into the cofunction if it is greater than 45. So for example, we're going to find the reference angle, 180 minus 131, it's 49. That's going to be cosecant 49. Now we happen to know cosecant is positive where we started. So this is going to stay positive, but since 49 is more than 45, we'll subtract it from 90 and change that to its cofunction. So from the reference, it's in 2, it is positive, cofunction, done. This is probably going to be the trickiest thing you do this week, but once you get it, it's going to fly by. Just to show you how quickly this can go, I'll just show you a couple of examples. That's just going to be cosine 42. That's going to be 720. 176. It's going to be a 4-degree reference angle. So and finally, this guy is going to be 148. Take it from 180. And we're going to say cosecant of 32. That's all it took to do these problems. I mean, it can take some getting used to in order to get there, but it doesn't need you to take 15 minutes for each of these things. Maybe at the beginning when you're just trying to understand what's going on, but once you get it, it takes a couple of seconds. So y'all, thank you for sitting through these videos. Have a good one. I will see you in class on whatever day you show up.